From Antarctica, we sailed back north, through the Drake Passage, past Cape Horn, and into the Strait of Magellan, named after the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, who first navigated this 570-kilometer passage at the southern tip of South America in 1520, and is remembered with a statue in Punta Arenas. It's the passage connecting the South Atlantic to the Pacific without having to sail around the entire bottom of South America. This is the route that put Punta Arenas on the map centuries ago, and the route that brought us there too. Welcome to Chile. Welcome to Punta Arenas. Hey everyone, my name is Neal, and welcome to this video. At this point in time, we've spent around 2 months, so 2/3 of the voyage is already done, and only 1 month is left. We leave the beautiful Antarctica and pass the Drake Passage again on the way back to civilization in South America, in Chile. And on the ship, I organized an event around veganism and vegetarianism because of a seed that was planted in my mind earlier on this trip. Then we will arrive in Punta Arenas, and I will show you here what I saw there, some historical sites and also some of the food. So come with me and I'll see you there. On the way back from the mesmerizing landscapes in Antarctica, the days at sea went back to normal. There were more Japanese classes on board. This time there was one where a young boy from one of the passenger families helped teach pronunciation, which sounded adorable. Habemasu ka? Okay. Habemasu ka? Habemasu ka? The music kept coming too. The Argentinian musicians performed more shows, this time playing various movie soundtracks. And another performer brought out a traditional Chinese instrument, an octagonal string instrument, which was interesting to experience. One evening, the ship threw a party in the Legends Bar. There was dancing, karaoke, and unleashed energy of people who've been living in close quarters for 2 months. And the Drake Passage, the stretch of water everyone warns you about, was relatively kind to us again. Not much rocking, but I felt it clearly when running on the treadmill in the gym, having to constantly adjust. We got lucky, I guess, but honestly, I was actually very curious to experience a really rocky and wild Drake Passage. Perhaps another time, although I might have to be careful with what I wish for in the future. In the Rio de Janeiro episode, a few episodes back, I mentioned I co-organized a lunch for vegans and vegetarians on board, and only one person out of almost 2,000 on board showed up. Just one, and that stuck with me, so I wanted to do something. So, on the way back from Antarctica, I co-organized a session called Introduction to Veganism and Vegetarianism, and together with 3 other passengers we ran it. The co-organizer of the vegan-vegetarian lunch earlier, the only attendee of the lunch, and also one passenger who spoke Japanese and English, and translated the entire talk live, so Japanese-speaking passengers could follow along too. We covered the ethical side, the environmental side, and the health side of veganism. I talked about something called the meat paradox, the strange contradiction where people say they love animals and in the same breath eat them. The psychological conflict between people's desire to eat meat and their moral aversion to animal suffering. I laid out some of the usual horrific practices that actually happen inside industrial farming on a daily basis, just to be honest about it, and give people a chance to reflect on their behavior and how it contributes to this. It was very cool that the Peace Boat director came to our session. Afterwards, we discussed the vegan options on board, and he said he'd look into improving them for future voyages. A small step, and maybe it goes nowhere, but it's the kind of seed I felt happy and proud to plant. This stretch of the journey had also brought Peace Boat's Youth for the SDGs program on board. Young activists from around the world joining for 2 weeks to share projects aimed at solving real problems tied to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Genuinely impressive people, the kind of energy that makes you feel better about the future. I also got invited to a 78-year-old Japanese man's birthday dinner, which might be one of the more surreal ways to celebrate a birthday, somewhere in the Drake Passage, near the bottom of the world. Also fun was that the local Peaceboat newspaper asked to interview me, just a short introduction piece about my life. Afterwards, random passengers started to recognize me from it and saying hi to me, which became a great conversation starter, enabling me to meet many more passengers. Then, after 2 days of sailing, our next destination appeared, Punta Arenas, Chile. After Antarctica, this felt like stepping back into civilization. The first stop was food, a completo, which is Chile's answer to the hot dog, commonly buried under avocado, mayo, and tomato. Structurally, this sandwich is so massive it requires 2 hands and a stack of napkins to clean up the mess. There's no way around it. I was happy to find a nice place in town, Diente Largo, that offers a vegan completo. After food, let's talk about some historical places I saw. The Cementerio Municipal Sarah Brown, a cemetery from 1894 famous for its neoclassical mausoleums and perfectly cut trees. It has the remains of some of the most wealthy families back then, and was recognized as one of the most beautiful cemeteries in the world by CNN in 2013. Down by the water, there's a bust of Juan Sebastián Elcano, the captain who took over the Victoria ship after Magellan died in the Philippines in 1521 and finished what Magellan started, the first circumnavigation of the globe, between 1519 and 1522 from Spain to Spain. That expedition is regarded as one of the greatest achievements in seamanship and had a significant impact on the European understanding of the world. This story really speaks to the imagination and feels extra special for me because just like Elcano, with Peaceboat, we are also circumnavigating the globe. In our case, from Japan to Japan. But where they did it in 3 years, we do it in 3 months using modern technology. Elcano's bust sits underneath a massive orange sculpture called the Circumnavigation Monument, a 25-ton steel piece shaped like an armillary sphere, built by the Chilean artist Francisco Gazitua, overlooking the Strait of Magellan. It symbolizes the circumference of the Earth and was specifically designed to commemorate the historical significance of the first voyage around the globe. Nearby, a monument to the crew of the schooner Anchud, the ship that made a grueling 4-month voyage in 1843 to secure Chile's claim over the Strait of Magellan before any other nation could. And not far from that, there's a statue of Bernardo O'Higgins, one of the founding fathers of an independent Chile in 1818, standing watch over all of it. I also found an artwork of a Yamana person, the indigenous canoe-faring people who once survived these brutal Patagonian waters, hunting sea lions and gathering shellfish, marking their bodies with a white, red, and black pigment for reasons both spiritual and practical. The day ended at a local brewery with, for me, a good alcohol-free beer. And as we left Punta Arenas, we had another of those majestic sunsets we tend to have on the Peaceboat, sailing away through the Strait of Magellan, ready to make our way up the Chilean coast towards Valparaiso. So Punta Arenas was our first point back into civilization after having left Antarctica and coming back to South America. I was very happy that in this period I organized an event around veganism and vegetarianism, because afterwards passengers came to me and said they had a desire to change their behavior, which is fantastic. We at this point have spent 2 months on the sea and have done a lot of things, and there's about 1 month left of adventure ahead of us. At this point we're going to go up along the Chilean coast to the city of Valparaiso, which is called the most colorful city in Chile. So come with me and meet me in Valparaiso. Take care.